beautiful friends and fellow word lovers. My name is Olivia and welcome back to my channel, Pocket of Poetry. Today's video is going to be a really special one. It's going to be an exciting announcement. I'm really excited to share with you guys a project that I have been working on for the past more than a year, like a year and a half probably. And that is my very first published novel, Light My Sky. So if you are subscribed to my channel, you may have noticed that I have been very absent on the channel this past month, and I just really didn't post at all in August. So I'm here to explain why. The reason why is because I was focusing on getting my book all published and ready to go. So today, the purpose of today's video is to just kind of tell you guys about my book, tell you guys about the process of writing it and publishing it, and kind of what it's about, in case you are interested in reading it for yourself. When I first started this channel, I really wanted it to be about writing as well as reading, because those are really my two favorite things in the world, are reading books and writing different things, stories, books. And so I wanted to make more videos that centered around writing and things like that. So I'm going to be going just a little bit into the process of writing this book, and I do hope to make more videos in the future on more specific aspects of the book writing and publishing process. So let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions about anything that I talk about in this video. If you have any questions about publishing your own book, about writing, I'd be happy to answer them in future videos, because I do want to make more videos about this topic. But first of all, let's take a look at her, shall we? This is my very first baby, my very first published novel, and I'm just going to give you guys a little brief synopsis of what this book is about. So it is a young adult coming of age romance novel. It's set in the 1960s in New York, and it's about a young girl named Eleanor Burnley. She's kind of a spunky, feisty main character. I try not to make her too annoying and like basic, but she definitely is more of a no-nonsense sort of spunky type of character, and she doesn't really like to read. She's not a huge fan of books, but one day she goes to the library to study, and she sees this beautiful blind boy sitting and reading a Braille book with this like intense focus, and she's so curious about the book that he's reading that she decides to check it out for herself. And from there, Eleanor is kind of carried on this journey of discovering books for the first time and falling in love with reading for the first time. And while she's in the process of falling in love with reading, she also happens to fall in love with someone else along the way. This book also touches on topics of friendship and family. Eleanor has two friends that kind of throw her into a little bit of a dramatic situation in this book, and she also has some rocky relationships with her mom and her older sister, which are discussed in this book. So basically, when I set out to write this novel, I just wanted to write a lovely, wholesome coming-of-age romance story. I wanted to write something that my teenage self would have loved reading. I actually got the original idea for Light My Sky when I was 17 years old, the same age that Eleanor, our main character, is in this book. I really just wanted to write a book with a blind male protagonist. Really going back to the beginning of my inspiration for this book, I read this book called And There Was Light by Jacques Lussiron. He was a French guy who was blind and helped Jews escape France during World War II. And in his book, he talks about how light is kind of like his constant companion. Even though he was blind, he had this light that kind of enabled him to function and have hope and happiness in his life. And ever since I read about that, I really wanted to write about a blind character having a romance. And so that was kind of like the very beginning of the idea for me. And then for some reason, I always pictured the characters, because when I write a story, the first thing that comes to me are the characters, usually before the plot, before anything else. And that was the way that it was with Eleanor and Gilbert, my main characters. They came to me, and I've had them in my mind for a really, really long time before I even seriously started writing the book. But for some reason, I always saw them in this sort of vintage time period where they wore like 1960s style clothing, like tweed skirts and sweaters, and a lot of sweaters, a lot of like corduroy, things like that. And that was kind of like how I pictured them. And I pictured them living in a city, and I pictured them spending a lot of time in libraries and kind of having that academic sort of aesthetic that everyone's so obsessed with now. And so that was the first first inspiration. And I actually wrote the first couple of chapters when I was 17, and then I just dropped it and completely didn't do anything with it for years until last year in 2020 during quarantine. I was lying in bed one night, and for some reason the reminder of the story just came into my mind, and I was like, wait a minute, I could write this. Because at the time, back last year, I was working on a different project entirely. I was writing a different book, and the book that I was working on was just such an ambitious project for me to try to embark on that I realized that it was just not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. And so for whatever reason, I started thinking about other stories, and that one popped into my head, and I was like, you know what, this is a story that I think I could really write and do well and publish as my first book. So that very night I decided I was going to do it. I got up the next day and I wrote out an entire outline for everything that was going to happen in the story, and then from there I just started writing it, and it took me about a month to get my first draft completely done. Because for whatever reason, when it comes to my creative process, sometimes it takes me a really long time to just get to the point where I'm like doing anything, you know, like sometimes it takes me forever to get to the point where I'm like actually working. But once I am, and once I have it in mind, like a vision and a goal, I just kind of go for it. So I like time blocked out my schedule and literally for the next month just wrote until it was done. And then when it was done, you know, I do a lot of self-editing, so I kind of edited a lot along the way. But then when I was finished, I had a lot of people in my life, my mom, my sister, my mother-in-law, some of my friends all read it and gave me feedback and critiqued it for me and helped me out with it a lot. And then I kind of just lost my confidence with it for a while, and I was going through some stuff in my life, so I just like didn't touch it, didn't work on it for a really, really long time. And then earlier this summer, after I got back from a vacation, for whatever reason, I was sitting down and I was like, I want to get more serious about my writing. Like, I want to figure out what I want to do with my writing. And all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I need to publish Light My Sky. Like, I wrote the whole thing last year. A lot of people read it and actually really liked it. And like, I should publish it. So I basically sat down and wrote out like an entire list of things that needed to get done in order for me to publish it. And I kind of time blocked that out, same way that I did originally with writing it. And yeah, I took about a month to revise it, and I worked on it really hard, and I did a ton of revisions for about a month. And then from that point forward, I did publish the book on Amazon. It is self-published on Amazon, and I have to say Amazon self-publishing is actually like, it was an amazing experience for me. It was actually so easy, so simple. They help you with everything. They help you with formatting. They help you with designing your cover. Like literally everything. They give you an ISBN. They just make everything so easy. So the actual publishing process itself didn't take me very long at all. I was kind of expecting it to take longer. I was expecting the formatting part of it to be like a really big project and be really daunting. But I used, so Amazon's publishing program is called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. And they have a KDP, they have a Kindle Create platform where you can go on and format your book super easily. Like they give you themes, they give you ideas, they basically just give you different ways that you can format it, and you just select your favorite one and you're pretty much done at that point. Like it was such an easy process and so lovely. And now I have my book, I have it in my hands, and it's the best feeling. So if you are an aspiring writer, if you have a manuscript that you're working on, or if you have had one that's been sitting collecting dust for a while, you should really just self-publish and go on Amazon, because it's actually such an amazing process and experience. And nowadays with the internet and with social media, it's so easy to promote yourself, you know, it's so easy to promote, and there's different like ways that you can promote too, but I would just really recommend it to like anyone that wants to publish a book, because it really is so easy. And then I just wanted to give you guys a quick little look inside the book. Basically just I used a very typewritery font. Like I wanted it to be very sophisticated and kind of vintage looking, so I used a super typewritery font. I gave it that aesthetic that I was kind of looking for. So it's fun. It was fun to be able to format it and pick what I wanted. And then on the back I just have like a little picture and author bio. So like I was saying, I would love to do more videos in the future on both writing and publishing. So if you do have questions, for example, future videos I would want to do, I would love to do a video on just like, you know, character development and kind of like setting up, planning your initial book, and then doing a video on editing, self-editing, because about 95% of my editing was done by yours truly. I did all the editing myself. I definitely had a lot of help and suggestions from a lot of people, but I pretty much edited and revised the whole thing by myself. So I would love to do a video about that process, and I'd also love to do a video about the self-publishing process. So if you have questions about any of those topics, feel free to leave them down below. And if you would like to purchase Light My Sky, it is available both in paperback and Kindle edition, and I will link it down below in the description so you can check it out. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate your support and your love. You can also follow me on Instagram at Pocket of Poetry for more fun details. If you want to post about the book, you can use the hashtag Light My Sky. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you all in the next one. I will be posting a lot more. I will be getting a lot more active on YouTube again now that this project is finished. So thank